Have you been doing Kegel exercises for years and wondering why nothing has really changed? You squeeze, you hold, you release, and yet the results, the real results you were hoping for, never quite arrived. Today, I am going to show you exactly why that is, and more importantly, I am going to show you the 3 advanced variations that actually work for women over 60. Here is what nobody tells you. The basic Kegel exercise that most women have been taught activates only the superficial layer of your pelvic floor, but your pelvic floor has 3 distinct muscle layers. And the layers that most directly control pleasure intensity, orgasmic contraction strength, and intimate sensation are the deeper ones, the ones a standard Kegel never reaches. Once you understand this, everything changes. These 3 exercises take less than 10 minutes a day. You can do them lying in bed. And the women in my practice who follow this protocol consistently report measurable changes in sensation and pleasure intensity within 4 to 6 weeks. Hello, I am Dr. William Harrison, a gynecologist specializing in women's intimate health after menopause. I want to hear from you before we go any further. Write in the comments doing them wrong if you have been doing basic Kegels without seeing real results, or write never tried if you have never attempted any pelvic floor exercises at all. There is no wrong answer, just honesty, and I promise you reading what other women write below will make you feel far less alone in this. Let me start by explaining why basic Kegels fail most women over 60. Not because Kegels are a bad idea, they are a genuinely good idea. But the version most women were taught, and most doctors describe in about 30 seconds, is incomplete in a way that matters enormously. Your pelvic floor is not a single muscle. It is a complex layered structure consisting of 3 distinct strata. The superficial layer contains muscles like the bulbocavernosus and the ischiocavernosus. These are the muscles you activate when you do a standard Kegel. The squeeze and hold most women know. They contribute to sensation and are worth training, but they are not where the real power is. The middle layer, the urogenital diaphragm, contains the deep transverse perineal muscles and the external urethral sphincter. This layer controls urinary continence, yes, but it also plays a critical role in the rhythmic quality of orgasmic contractions. When this layer is weak or uncoordinated, orgasmic contractions feel shallow and disconnected rather than deep and wave-like. The deepest layer, the levator ani complex, which includes the pubococcygeus, iliococcygeus, and puborectalis muscles, is the foundation of your entire pelvic support system. This is the layer that determines the strength and duration of orgasmic contractions, the quality of vaginal tone, and the degree of intimate sensation during penetration. Standard Kegels almost never reach this layer. The muscle activation required to engage it is fundamentally different from a simple squeeze. After menopause, all 3 layers are affected by the decline in estrogen. Muscle fiber density decreases. Connective tissue loses elasticity. Neural recruitment, the brain's ability to activate the full range of muscle fibers in a coordinated way, becomes less efficient. This is why simply doing more basic Kegels does not solve the problem. You can squeeze a weakened, uncoordinated, partially innervated muscle thousands of times and see minimal improvement if you are only ever activating the same superficial fibers. What is needed is a layered approach, an approach that sequentially recruits all 3 strata, reestablishes neural coordination between the layers, and progressively overloads the deeper muscle fibers in a way that stimulates genuine neuromuscular adaptation. That is exactly what the 3 exercises I am about to teach you do. If this explanation is giving you a completely new understanding of your own body, please subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. I share this kind of clinically grounded, practical information about women's intimate health after 60 that most standard medical appointments simply do not have time to cover. Before I walk you through the 3 exercises, I need to address the single most common mistake women make when attempting any pelvic floor exercise. And that mistake is breath holding. When most women try to engage their pelvic floor, they instinctively hold their breath and brace their abdominal muscles. This is the opposite of what you want. Bracing the abdomen actually increases intra-abdominal pressure, which pushes downward on the pelvic floor and works directly against the muscles you are trying to activate. Every exercise I am about to describe must be performed with relaxed breathing. Inhaling before each contraction, exhaling gently during the hold or active phase, and never, under any circumstances, holding your breath. The second mistake is performing contractions too quickly. Fast, shallow pulses feel like you are doing something, but they primarily recruit fast-twitch superficial fibers. The deeper muscle layers, the ones that matter most for pleasure, are predominantly slow-twitch fibers that respond to sustained, deliberate, progressive contractions. Slow down. Feel each layer engage sequentially. That is where the results come from. Now, the 3 advanced exercises. Exercise 1 is the layered hold, and this is the foundational exercise of the entire protocol. It is designed specifically to teach your brain and your pelvic floor to communicate across all 3 muscle layers in a coordinated sequence rather than activating them all at once superficially. Begin lying on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the surface. Place one hand lightly on your lower abdomen. Take a slow, deep breath in, and as you exhale, begin the contraction. But here is the critical difference from a standard Kegel. Do not squeeze everything at once. Instead, imagine your pelvic floor as an elevator with 3 floors. Begin at the ground floor. Activate just the superficial muscles, the ones at the very entrance of the vaginal opening. Hold that activation for 2 seconds while breathing normally. Now rise to the second floor. Without releasing the superficial layer, add the middle layer. Feel a deeper engagement, a lift that travels further inward and upward. Hold both layers for 2 seconds. Now rise to the third floor without releasing either of the first 2 layers. Attempt to engage the deepest layer, the levator ani complex. You will feel this as a profound internal lifting sensation, almost as if you are trying to draw something upward from deep within your pelvis. Hold all 3 layers simultaneously for 5 seconds, then release in reverse. Third floor, second floor, ground floor, taking 2 seconds on each floor as you descend. That is 1 complete repetition. Rest for 10 seconds between repetitions. Perform 5 repetitions per session. At first, you may find it genuinely difficult to isolate the different layers. This is completely normal. The neural pathways for this kind of coordinated, conscious pelvic floor activation are underdeveloped in most women because they have never been trained this way. Within 2 to 3 weeks of daily practice, the coordination improves substantially and the distinction between the layers becomes clearly perceptible. Let me tell you about a patient I will call Margaret. She came to see me at 63, frustrated after years of doing basic Kegel exercises without any meaningful improvement in sensation or pleasure intensity. She described her pelvic floor as feeling disconnected, like I know it's there, but I can't really feel it working. I taught her the layered hold. At her 4-week follow-up, she told me, "I can feel each layer now. It's like I discovered muscles I didn't know I had. And yes, it has made a real difference." That recognition, that suddenly being able to feel and control something that was previously inaccessible, is the first sign that the neural reconnection is happening. Exercise 2 is the pulse sequence, and this exercise is specifically designed to train the rhythmic quality of pelvic floor contractions, the quality that most directly determines the intensity of orgasmic experience. Begin in the same position as the layered hold. This time, you're going to engage all 3 layers simultaneously to approximately 70% of your maximum contraction. Not your full squeeze, but a strong, deliberate engagement. From that sustained 70% base contraction, perform 10 small additional pulses. Brief increases in contraction intensity, approximately 1 second each, without releasing the base contraction between pulses. The sensation should feel like a controlled rhythmic pulsing on top of a sustained foundation. After your 10 pulses, hold the full contraction at maximum intensity for 3 seconds, then release completely and rest for 15 seconds. That is 1 set. Perform 3 sets per session. Why does this exercise specifically improve pleasure intensity? Because orgasmic contractions are rhythmic by nature. They occur at approximately 0.8 second intervals during climax. The pulse sequence trains your pelvic floor muscles to fire in exactly this kind of rapid, rhythmic pattern while maintaining a sustained underlying contraction. Women who consistently practice this exercise report that their orgasmic contractions become more numerous, more sustained, and subjectively more intense, because the muscles producing those contractions have been specifically trained for that exact pattern of activation. Exercise 3 is the eccentric release, and this is the most overlooked and most powerful exercise of the 3. Most pelvic floor training focuses entirely on the concentric phase, the contraction, the squeeze, the lift. But research in sports medicine and physiotherapy consistently shows that eccentric training, the controlled, resisted lengthening of a muscle, produces significantly greater strength gains and neuromuscular adaptation than concentric training alone. Applied to your pelvic floor, this means that the controlled, resisted release of a maximal contraction is potentially more valuable than the contraction itself. Begin lying on your back, knees bent. Perform a maximum contraction engaging all 3 layers, your absolute full effort, held for 3 seconds. Now, instead of releasing quickly or letting go all at once, begin a very slow, deliberately resisted release. Take a full 8 to 10 seconds to go from your maximum contraction to complete relaxation. Imagine you are lowering a heavy weight very slowly and carefully rather than simply dropping it. Feel each layer resist the release. Feel the muscle fibers maintaining tension even as they lengthen. At the moment of complete release, allow your pelvic floor to fully relax, even slightly beyond your resting baseline, consciously letting go of any residual holding. Rest for 20 seconds. Perform 4 repetitions per session. The eccentric release does 3 things that the other exercises cannot. First, it builds significantly greater raw strength in the deep pelvic floor fibers by recruiting the maximum number of motor units under load. Second, it dramatically improves the mind-muscle connection, your ability to feel, sense, and consciously control your pelvic floor at a level of precision that basic Kegels never develop. Third, the full release at the end of each repetition actively counteracts the chronic low-grade tension and guarding that many women over 60 carry in their pelvic floor. Tension that physically compresses nerves and reduces sensation. Learning to fully, consciously release is as important as learning to contract. Your complete daily protocol is as follows. Begin with 2 minutes of relaxed diaphragmatic breathing lying on your back. This primes your nervous system and ensures your abdominal muscles are not bracing before you begin. Then perform your 5 layered hold repetitions, taking approximately 4 minutes. Then perform your 3 sets of pulse sequences, taking approximately 3 minutes. Then perform your 4 eccentric release repetitions, taking approximately 2 minutes. Total time, approximately 11 minutes, though as you become more efficient with the movements, this will reduce to 8 or 9 minutes. Perform this protocol once daily. Consistency matters far more than frequency. One focused, correctly executed session per day produces dramatically better results than multiple rushed, incorrectly performed sessions. Do not attempt to add extra sessions in the first 4 weeks. Your pelvic floor muscles, like all muscles, adapt during rest, not during the exercise itself. Give them time to recover and rebuild between sessions. The honest timeline is this. In weeks 1 and 2, the primary adaptation is neural. You are building new neural pathways for conscious pelvic floor control. You will feel more awareness, more ability to sense and isolate the different layers, and often a general increase in pelvic sensitivity. In weeks 3 and 4, muscular strength begins to build noticeably. Many women report at this stage that they begin to notice differences during everyday activities, a greater sense of internal support and tone. In weeks 5 and 6, the pleasure-specific changes begin to emerge. Orgasmic contractions feel stronger, more numerous, more complete. Sensation during intimacy feels richer and more detailed. In weeks 8 through 12, women who have been consistent describe changes they did not think were possible. A level of pelvic floor awareness, control, and pleasure response they had never experienced even in younger years. Margaret returned to my office at week 8. She said, "I did not expect this. I thought I was just fixing a plumbing problem. I did not realize I was rebuilding something I thought was gone. Your pelvic floor is not broken. It is undertrained, under-coordinated, and waiting for the right signal." These 3 exercises are that signal. Share this video with a woman who has been doing basic Kegels without results. Leave me your comment, doing them wrong or never tried, and tell me how long you have been dealing with this. I am Dr. William Harrison. Your body responds to the right training. Give it exactly that, starting tonight.